super excited today to have our amazing panelists, Patty Schemel, Mixmaster Mike, Elia Einhorn here as our host. My name is Brendan Barry. I'm a client manager of the mental health and addiction services team here at MusiCares. We're super humbled and grateful to have an opportunity to contribute to a space of normalizing conversations around not just addiction and substance use disorder, but very much about recovery and putting a face and a voice to recovery and facilitating that opportunity within the music community. So first, a little disclaimer about who MusiCares is, what we do. We are a part of the Recording Academy, aka the Grammys, and MusiCares is essentially a safety net for anyone that works in the music community, in the music industry. So any professional, whether it's an artist, you're a tour bus driver, you do lighting, you're a stagehand, you work on the business side, we are here to support you during your times of need. So we have 3 different branches under the umbrella of MusiCares. One is human services. If your tour bus gets broken into and your gear is stolen, give us a call, shoot us an email. We will help you recover that lost gear or pay for new gear to replace it so you can continue on your tour. If you're struggling to pay your bills, COVID was a really tough time. A lot of people lost their gigs. Come to us. We can help you pay your rent. If you have a hard time paying for your car, paying your insurance, we will help hook you up if you're in need. Under our health services team, medicine is not inexpensive. Medical treatment in America, not cheap. So if you're having a hard time, rather than go into debt, give us a call. We will help cover some of the cost of that, if not the entire cost of your healthcare stuff, your dental stuff. We got you covered. The department that I work with, that I love so dearly, is anyone in the music industry who is struggling with mental health and addiction, give us a call, shoot us an email. All that information is going to be at the end of this video. So if you need to fast forward now because you're like, I need that, fast forward, come back, listen to the conversation. But we're here to help guide you. If you have no idea what you're doing, you're just in despair and you need help, reach out. We will help figure out what you need, and we will not only get you that treatment, but we will help pay for it. If not entirely, a good portion of it. We want to do everything that we can to support those who are struggling during their times of need. So really grateful to be here. And I want to now introduce our 2 amazing participants, panelists here. Patty Schemel, who, excuse me, is the world-renowned drummer and musician from the rock band Hole and author of the acclaimed memoir, Hit So Hard. We also have Mixmaster Mike, world-renowned DJ who nearly got banned from the DJ competition scene for monopolizing the crowns, and most notably, former member of the Beastie Boys. And then we also have here one of my inspirations in many ways, Elia Einhorn, who is who created the Sober 21 publication that inspired these panels. He's a host of Pitchfork Radio and TV and Sonos Radio. And with that, pass it off to you, Elia.
Brandon, thank you for that beautiful intro, man. So glad to be here with you guys. So glad to be rocking with MusiCares again. Patty, welcome to the show. Where are you joining us from?
Los Angeles, in my dining room.
Nice. There we go.
Yeah. Nice to be here. Thanks for having me.
Oh, man. So great to see you again. And so great to see you again, Mixmaster Mike. We haven't talked since Sober 21. And I got to ask, where are you coming in from, man?
I'm coming in from Las Vegas, Nevada, Summerlin.
Nice.
So the good part, the best part. Not the belly of the beast, but the good part of Vegas.
There we go. I mean, I find the 2 of you to be incredibly inspiring as sober artists working at such a high level. And it was such a blessing to work with each of you on the book, Sober 21, and to have each of your stories here. And I want to get a little bit deeper than we had time to in the zine and to cover some different topics here. I wonder if, just to start things off, in maybe just 1 minute or 2, if each of you could briefly share about that moment when you'd been living in addiction and all of a sudden something switched and the light bulb went off and you were done. Patty, you want to kick things off?
Yeah. I'm Patty. Substance abuse disorder. Many substances, and a lot of people always they say, ask me what happened in that moment that made you finally stop using drugs and alcohol, and for me it's all the cliches that you hear, that I was um, alone and living on the street, but kind of like in my mind, I wasn't on the street. I was so, out of out of my mind. And um, just, the thing where they say it stops working, it literally stopped working. And I there wasn't an amount of drugs I could get into my body that would stop how I felt, how the fear, the anxiety, all the things just came so up front, and the drugs just stopped working. And so I was left with, I felt like with nothing. So I reached out. I made a call to a friend who, um, she helped me get back into back when MusiCares was MAP, when the MAP program existed, and MAP had given me 2 tries. I'd been through twice, and so they took a chance third time, and I got into a rehab, which was, I was there, and literally I had no clothes. I had all the things, no clothes, nowhere to stay. And so I had no more fight, there was no way. And I stopped thinking that, I was going to, get my career back, and I was going to be on top of things. But I was going to use it, I stopped kidding myself with that. I mean, I might have like really stretched out my answer to your question, but it was basically that. And I did a lot of rehabs by that point, and that's where it started in 2005. Was in that rehab and then sober living.
Patty, I love that you were a 3-time winner there and that it finally took, right? Sometimes it doesn't happen the first time. Mike, I want to throw it to you, man. What was your experience in that moment where the light bulb went on and you were done?
Well, I mean, basically it was, okay, I started using at the age of 17, and that was all the way until before I turned 30. And I knew, I just knew I had to sober up because I was about to join the Beastie Boys. And that's what ultimately happened. I got a call from Yalk and Horvitz, Mike D, requesting my musicalities for the recording of the new record. So I had 3 weeks to shape. I had a month. I had a month to shape up.
Amazing.
I had no choice. And I was like, this is all, I'm at that point, I was not allowing substance abuse to tear down what I've worked so hard for and will ultimately brings me joy and could most likely save my life, So I was mindful of this. So, I mean, as soon as I flew to New York, I cold turkeyed it because I knew the platform. I knew that this was my moment. This was my moment. My defining moment in my career was to join. I mean, basically the Beatles of hip hop, right? I mean, it's like I got to shape up, and I gotta be sharp, and I got to be fully capable in the studio. And I knew there was going to be a tour after that. So, I mean, what can I say? I had to sober up. You know what I mean? I couldn't bring that life into their world, and I didn't want to start my relationship with the Beasties as some drug addict having a hard time,
Mm-hmm.
So that's what ultimately shaped me. I had to shape up, and I did it, and thank God.
Thank God, man. I mean, you're here, and and sober and thriving. I mean, Patty, I got to think that your experience was a little bit different because I mean, you and Hole, you know,
Yes.
you all came out of really getting messed up together and
Right.
going back to, you know, there's sort of a long history of friendship and musicality
Yeah.
that's inextricably intertwined with drugs, right?
Yeah. And before Hole, I was, you know, you know, had my first drink at 12, and then that led, you know, to exploring many other chemicals, and that, you know, everybody, you know, like there was my crowd, everybody, you know, did drugs, and you know, but it seemed like I was always trying to like keep my stuff together. I could not perform, and I couldn't show up shooting dope. You know, it was like I could not go on tour. I couldn't, you know, and I tried it so many times, and I was like, there's got to be a method, you know, trying to like, you know, okay, there's just so many different ways around it. And yeah, I just said, you know what? I was like, you know what? Screw them. And they, you can't tell me what to do, and you know, and I'm hiding it,
Yeah.
or you know, and then I don't want to, you know, and then I was like, but I need this to be in this thing. I need drugs to keep me cool, to be able to deal with the craziness of this person, and to show up at this, and to play this show, and to be calm during like those ego moments, like getting your picture taken, and then you're with your band, and you're like, you don't feel comfortable, and and then that's, and I needed to get drunk or shoot dope, you know, and then everything was okay, like whatever, you know, and then showing up to rehearsal and going, hey, you know, they're saying you have the same drum beats, you got nothing new, and so then I'm like, oh, I better like, you know, get some, maybe I'll do like get into the garage to do some wood shedding with some crystal meth, you know, or, you know, that was my solution. Like the solutions were, I needed a substance to just be in it. And this was my dream since I was a kid. You know, I started playing, it was my longest relationship. Started playing drums at 11, had my first drink at 12. But drums were my, you know, I was always an angry, like kind of kid. And when I hit the drums, I just let it out. And that was my thing, you know?
Therapy.
Yeah.
It's the therapy.
It felt good to make something with that, you know?
Yes.
But there was so much more in life, you know, like that was scary, you know, like not feeling not good enough, and, you know, trying out for this band, and not, you know, and it just, you know, and then looking at my band was telling me, you know, intervention, and there, you know, there were so many things going on, like, and I was like, what, you guys are all high, why do I, you know? And just kind of like, yeah, but I don't know, I felt like, lead singers get to get fucked up, and I don't, you know, it's just crap, and this cycle crap in my head, and you know, get really resentful with the people I was making music with too, you know, like how can I make some great music with these people that I'm so angry at because they're like cops in my life, you know, they're the ones telling me, you know, checking my eyes, you know, like and stuff like that.
Wow. So they're literally like,
well, yeah, like, you know, our guitar player, Eric, was like, he was kind of like that. His thing was like, you know, some of us are you know, the thing that drug is people, you know, and you know, that I think that was his thing, you know, no offense to him, but like his thing was keeping shit fucking tight, you know, part of my language, but like, you know, like schedule, and like, you know, keeping an eye on this person, and trying to, you know, well, you know, so and so can have more than these many drinks before they, you know, like just nuts. And just a lot of, you know, and then just saying fuck it. Get to a point where like I can't, I've tried so many different ways to do this, and then they're like, see ya, gotta go, Patty, you're just not holding it, you know. So yeah, you lose it. That's that cliche. You know, you lose everything.
Yeah.
You know,
And
it's such
please,
it's such a mind fuck. I mean, I'm sorry, like I don't know if we're allowed to cuss, but
Yeah, me too.
yeah. Feel free.
but you know, it is such. It's just like what you're like. What happens when I quit? Am I gonna be that superhero that people know me as? And you're like, am I gonna be who I am when I quit? And that was the most terrifying part. Was like, oh, because I felt like I got my superpowers from doing meth. You know, I was lit. I was just like, I was on point as far as making music and just being the best musician I can be, you know, staying up all night. But, you know, but fortunately, through the grace of God, it was like I sobered up and I shed this skin, like a dirty part of skin, like just came off of me. And I became who I was and more magnified because it was more real. It was more real, and I wasn't numb to anything, you know. And I was just waiting for that point, that 2-month period where the first month of sobriety is just the fucking worst. It's like, oh shit, you don't feel like doing anything because at that point you're like doing drugs to feel normal, right? To feel
it's
normal.
painful.
To feel normal, and it's just like, I mean, why? And then I'm thinking to myself, why am I going to do drugs to become the superhero for everyone else, and why, and when I should quit and be a superhero to myself? And that's what happened. I did it, and I'm still who I am. You know,
that was a theme that was a theme that kept coming up, you know, as we were putting together Sober 21. It was people being afraid that they weren't going to have what you call that superpower. Like I remember talking to Nile Rodgers, and I want to talk to him specifically because here's a guy who's going into the studio with some of the biggest artists in the world, and he's working on their thing. He's not leading it a lot of the time, right? It's like he's supporting. And I wanted to ask him, what was collaboration like once you were sober? And he said, at first, I was scared shitless that I would never be able to do it again. Once I got sober, I thought I'd never be able to do it again. And then it kicked back in, and now I have zero fear. And I kind of hear you saying the same thing, Mike, and Patty, maybe I'm reading into it, but it feels like the same thing where it's like the fear is there and it's very real when you're using it in maybe the first couple months. And then all of a sudden, as you flex that muscle, it's like, no, of course I can do this. Why would I have thought I couldn't do it?
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
I know, right.
Yeah.
I'm better at it.
Yes, I'm better. I'm 10 times better.
Yeah,
man.
Yeah.
Well, so Mike, you talked about sobering up in order to join the Beastie Boys. Patty, you talked about that third time of kind of getting treatment being the trick for you. I wonder if we kind of fast forward that now to where you're at today. It's 2023, springtime. Could each of you talk a little bit about what kind of work goes into your day-to-day sobriety at this point? What keeps you sober now?
You want to go, Patty?
Yeah, go ahead. You go.
For me, it's the excitement of being a musician and doing it at a level that I'm doing it at right now. I mean, it's like I'm 53 years old. You know what I mean? I'm doing things. I feel like I'm in my 20s still, which is incredible. And I'm just like, you know, it's like, you know, I got heavily, you know, right now I'm like, I had to tap into a revolutionary mindset. Like there's so many obstacles put there on this earth to destroy us. And I feel as though it's purposely set there to destroy us. And it's just like, I don't want to get too deep into it, but I've tapped into this revolutionary mindset where it's just like, you're not going to destroy something that's good. There's only one of me on this earth, you know? And I humbly say that. And I feel like I have something to inspire the new up and coming generation. So I got to keep going. And I found drinking green tea matcha kind of replaced, you know, it kind of replaced doing drugs for me. You know, for some reason it was the matcha. I've been drinking matcha for like 12, 13 years now. And it's become my go-to as far as like opening that third eye and clearing the channels, right? Because that's what we are. We're basically like satellite dishes, right? And we're just trying to clear pathways of inspiration and let the universe come and gift us these ideas to record and share with the world, right? So I mean, I don't know where I'm going with it, but I'm just saying, like, you got to find another vice, right? And I found my healthy I found the healthy option in drinking matcha, and basically just, you know, going to God too. My faith is really strong, so I go to church every Sunday religiously. So I mean, I know. Unfortunately, I mean, faith is not a popular topic in our profession, but it's like it's something that's helped me. Definitely helped me, because I'm like, wow, I'm still here after all that I've done to myself, after all that shit I put my body through. I'm like, I'm still here, which is an awesome thing. It's a beautiful thing, right? We're in our 50s now and we're still doing music. How beautiful is that? How glorious is that?
Hell yeah, man.
And I give all that glory to God. And whether you're not into faith or not, but I'm a firm believer in the Lord and what He has given me, and I'm not going to let Him down.
So your faith, trading up addictions, and going hard on matcha. My version's coffee. I totally feel you on that.
There you go.
And musical inspiration. I love it. Patty, what's it look like for you?
Well, I guess it's about like looking at those defects, you know, like, and starting to work on that stuff. And I gotta say that it's really hard sometimes to just like not yell at that neighbor for backing, like having his bumper into my driveway, you know, and like then I'm like, did you get clean and sober to be, you know, an asshole, you know? And you know, sometimes I'm good and I can like just be you know, another great person in the world. And sometimes not so much, you know, and but I also look at my behavior because I'm a mom, you know, I have a daughter who's 12, and that was modeling that some good behavior in front of my child, and having the blessing of being able to have a kid and to see the world through her eyes is such a gift, you know. And don't you know, I remember like getting high and chasing that, like that good feeling, and I don't never have that, like I get that good feeling nowadays, but like it's supposed to, like my sort of my spiritual program, I think that my sort of get those great feelings like here and there, you know, and they're little gifts, and I get that moment, and that feeling will be like just kind of run through in a moment, and that's when they're supposed to come, not like 24/7 jammed through a syringe in my arm, you know. And I need the to like be grateful and like to do things that are gonna, you know, improve my world and not drag it down, so that way I can like just, you know, like I just feel like that I have to keep working on. I know it sounds like so heavy, but you gotta keep like always conscious of ego, you know, because you know, being a drummer in that band, and then like you know, and then but nowadays some people will be like, oh, and not such, no one knows anymore now. Anyway, drummers aren't very, you know, like I'm not like Tommy Lee or anything, like, but I mean, I don't know, like if you understand, it's just ego, like keeping it, like not wishing to have that sort of, you know, notoriety and that kind of cash, and like Mike was saying about being creating music, like 55, and I got asked to go on a tour and do for a dance artist, and it was awesome. And I got, you know, and I kind of got to do I had to do a lot of work with click track, and then with, you know, samples and tracks, and it was different way of playing drums for me. And it was such a cool thing to discover that whole world and to have never really known about it. And to, you know, kind of figure out and to be open to all the things that come my way, you know, and that and like to be able to play Red Rocks again, you know, like these certain places sober, and to go, thank you for this opportunity. I'm here 100% and grateful to be playing drums and to have fun and to be clean and sober, you know, and that's like, those are the things that
greatest job in the world, right?
Yeah,
greatest job in the world. better than actually using drugs. I mean, it is a drug, right?
Yeah, truly.
Yeah. I totally get every word that you just spit out, Patty. Yeah. And when you talk about that excitement, when you get these little spurts of excitement, I get those too. I get them, and I get excited about these little things, and then it goes away. And you're like, oh, wow, how can I maintain that? And how does that come anyway?
I know.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
How the hell does that come? You're like, oh, shit, I got excited.
Trying to think about,
I just got excited. What? It's hard to explain.
Weird. Like,
it's so weird.
Yeah, it is.
I love how much you guys are presenting the realness of how amazing and exciting life can be on the other side of addiction.
Yes.
Like, you know, being able to not just like have a deeper sense of self, but then to really appreciate and value the type of life that you're able to really expose yourself to. What I'm like picking up on in both of your stories and your journeys is like that those things that you connected with within yourselves to understand, like, how am I going to replace that old version of me, that version of me that was like trapped in this vicious cycle, which I relate to on a personal level as a person in long-term recovery. It's like, you know, previously, like, I have to do these drugs in order to execute these tasks. I have to, like, in order to perform, I first have to take X amount of shots and smoke X, Y, and Z. Like, in order to like go into the studio, in order to write music, I have to do X, Y, and Z. And so, like, coming out on the other side, it's like, that's the only way I know how to function. And so, like, whether it's like getting into that ceremonial grade matcha, which I love. Or like focusing on the loved ones, like Patty, like, who do I want to be for my kid? You know, like, who do I want to be as a central figure of my family? And then from that, like, building those layers and building that foundation. And suddenly, like what you're talking about, just like, man, to really fucking love being able to go and create and like collaborate, do it on my own, have my own personal space where it's like my therapy, being able to do it on a stage or in the studio. You know, and the losses that came before, and recognizing, like, I need this in order to thrive. So I just want to point out, I love the enthusiasm that you all are showing that is possible to have on the other side with recovery.
Mm-hmm.
Hell yeah, man.
You know what's crazy? I made some brilliant music on crystal meth. And it's like, and I look back on it and I listen to the albums I made. I'm like, damn, I don't think I would have, I don't know. There's definitely some blessings that came out of being on drugs, and I don't want to, I'm just trying to be truthful about it, you know? And there was some beauty that came out, but then there was a lot of damage too, you know? And so it's like both, right?
Mm-hmm.
So much damage, like creating beauty, right? It's like creating beauty, but it's twisted, right? It's just twisted.
Yeah, like that what I thought was going to be some great stuff never really turned out to be. And then,
when you look back at it?
Like I'll listen back and I'll go, ooh. And then also, like the pain of it outweighed, you know, because the next day, you know, I'm not like excited about getting back behind the drum kit. I'm down at the dope house, you know, that's the shitty part that just took over all that, you know.
You know, it was such a sketchy existence for me because I would be in the studio and two in the morning, I would drive like 45 minutes away to Sacramento to cop some dope and then drive back with no license, no registration, and just like teeter-tottering on the edge. the mission was to get back home and back into the studio. Right when I re-upped, it was like, okay, the mission is to get back. And so it became this mission. And thank God. I mean, you know what's funny? I got pulled over by the highway patrol this is a funny story. I got pulled over by the highway patrol when I copped on the 80. And I had a gun in the glove compartment, no license, no registration. But I had an article of me with the Beastie Boys live on stage, and I just had it. And I remember the cop was like, let me see your license. I go, I don't have my license, officer, but I have this. And I showed him the article, and he, thank God, he was a Beastie Boy fan, big Beastie fan.
Man. Wow.
And that's when I knew. I'm like, you know what? There's a higher power looking out after me.
Yeah, you got away with this.
I got away with so much. I got away with so much, and that was something I'll always remember, and that's how I know I'm guided and looked out at. Yeah, crazy story, crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, that's wild times, and I had totally forgotten that I also made an unlicensed drive to get drugs. I had not remembered this for a long time.
Unlicensed drive, story.
Yeah. When we were underage, we couldn't even get licenses yet. You know, we were like, okay, here we go. And I just want to insert a note quickly for Daniel, the editor. I know that I'm laughing during a couple of these fucked up stories. It's because I'm relating so hard. Feel free to leave in or just cut to the person as you see fit, man. Yeah. But it's just like I'm just like, me too. Yes, I have also done that. You know, as any musician who's watching knows, one of life's most beautiful and intricate and fragile relationships is that of being in a band. I wonder, how do your groups, maybe could be looking back, could be right now, how did they, let me take that again. How did each of your groups take the announcement that you were getting sober? And how do you deal with that with bands you're touring with today?
Go ahead, Pat.
I didn't really put much stock in that. You know, if I'm getting sober, Patty's gotten sober. We thought Patty was sober and she was lying to us. You know, it's like years and years. So basically I kind of had to
they didn't believe
sort of just, you know, keep it. And pretty much nobody was really calling me up at all. You know, it's pretty like solo, desolate, no friends life. And I wanted it that way, you know, because I had one goal and I wanted to that's it. You know, after some time, I always say we have to kind of live our way back into the lives of our friends. And, you know, they have, after a while, they would, you know, shout and, you know, I could, you know, sort of like repair our friendships and, you know, and then like kind of go through and go, maybe not that person, you know, in my mind, like, because I had a chance to like maybe take out some stuff that wasn't the best for me. And, and then
relationships you thought you maybe didn't want to carry forward, you mean?
Yeah. And
into the new life. Yeah.
And then also, just, you know, after a certain amount of sobriety, then, you know, people would be like, okay, I think, you know, actually, you know, Patty's clean and sober, you know, she's actually a functioning member of society. And I just step out of music, you know, and get a job, get a 9-to-5 job. And, and that saved my ass because I had to be somewhere at 8 a.m. and, you know, and it was the first place that, you know, said, here's the shop keys, you know, and trusted me with that, you know, and then told me, great job today. You know, like I needed that. No one was saying that. And, you know, I hadn't heard that in forever, you know, great job. No one said that.
Right. You've been having Eric check your eyes.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. You know, and then, so finally had a little bit of confidence, like, well, look, I can walk up the shop and I got the first time I got a paycheck and I didn't spend it. And, I got to like open a checking account or whatever, and start over again.
Like people can rely on you.
Yes. And that was huge. And I was
You're
like,
reliable.
I gotta show up and,
yes.
And be, like an honest, reliable person.
Yeah.
And then moving forward and working with other bands, I kind of got to make my own sort of, space and keep it, the way I needed it to be. And like, so, like I got to have my coffee. I got to have my, my bunk on the bus. I need to have, one in the middle. I can't have on the bottom or the top.
Yeah.
But like, there's certain things you just got to have to like, and I know that I need a few things there's so much more than just your bunk and your coffee. But
Patty, I loved my middle bunk. I'm a middle bunk person. I'm a middle bunk person all day.
Me too.
Yes.
Yeah. And do not smoke cigarettes. I don't want to smell a cigarette in here.
No, yeah,
like that.
absolutely. Yeah. No triggers.
Yeah. That stuff. And if things got a little bit sketchy for me, I could always reach out, from the road and say, to my sponsor and say, I need some help,
Yeah.
And so it had a good sort of network of people that would help. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard getting on stage. I mean, that anticipation of getting ready when they're like, okay, 20 minutes, Mike, you're on the stage, thousands of people out there. You're like, oh, shit. What am I going to get myself in? I mean, how am I going to get myself prepared for this moment? Right.
Yeah. You got to like pump yourself up, you know?
And you're like, damn, I wish I had a sip of wine or some shit. You know what I mean? You start thinking like, damn, a nice glass of wine would be good. But then you're like, nope. Yeah, you're with.
I created new rituals around playing.
There's rituals, yeah.
Like I'll go have a quiet moment before I play, and I'll say a prayer, and I'll think about the things I'm grateful for, and just sort of remember what a gift today.
Yes.
And that then I can move on, and to don't throw this away,
Don't throw it away. Yeah, don't throw it away. You're on the path.
One of the things
what I do, Mike, I'll be backstage. If I'm going out to host the interview stage at Pitchfork, or if I'm going to, like I remember we did Life is Beautiful, where you are in Vegas. I'll be backstage, and what I do is I actually shadow box. I shadow box backstage to get myself ready, get my body hyped up, and then I can walk out and be like, "What's up, Vegas? Here we fucking go," and we're in. But man, it takes some thinking to create those new rituals. Yeah. Brendan, you were about to say something, man.
No, I love the rituals. For me, like I used to get so mad in the studios, like doing take after take after take, and just the expectations of myself, like it has to be perfect, and I'd get so angry. And so like I had a spiritual guide who was like, "Why don't you sit down and meditate first? Like invite God into the room rather than just like make it all about you. Just be like, hey, what do you think?"
Yeah.
But one thing that Patty, you talked about that I think is so important, and I've heard so much of this with other artists in my work as a professional mental health counselor and music therapist, is the sense of self and the identity. And so many folks just like are so wrapped up in the identity that like they'll take that to the grave with them. It's just like, I can't shift away from whatever I'm doing in my life because it's so wrapped up. Like, I am a musician, I am an artist, and so I can only do those things. And so for me to take a step back and say like, no, let's just function as a basic human being, like reset, recalibrate, so like you talking about that experience of like, I got a day job and like learned how to do these like basic 9 to 5 things, I think is like so powerful and such an important message to share, because I know I've struggled with that for like my entire life. But I'm wondering, like, is there any other things that you feel like you had to like wrap your head around, any sense of self-ego that was kind of a dilemma or a hang up for you that kind of stood in the way as a barrier to move forward in your recovery?
Yeah. I always felt that, I had to step out of music for a while, but there's always that in the back of my head. That's like, that something else huge will come down the pike or whatever, and like and then to think that to think to myself that to to go into a new situation, a musical situation, and if it would threaten my sobriety, would I still stay in it? And like I would get, I it's a tough spot, like. But unfortunately, it's not happened. I mean, I haven't, like, there hasn't been a situation where I was like, well, stay in this, really bad for me band and, threaten my sobriety. And then, but I think, I guess I don't know if that answered that or kind of, sort of.
I'll jump in because I did have kind of a funny moment like that comes to mind as you're talking about it, Patty, where I was at this event and the Wu-Tang Clan were there. And I'd done some work with the Wu-Tang Clan over the years, and I got invited to go smoke weed with them. And I had many years sober at this point, right? And there was part of me that was like, damn, like, of course I'm going to say thank you, but no. But like, dude, that's the Wu-Tang Clan asking you to go get blazed with them, But this is my perspective on it. I did say no in the moment, of course, and stayed clean. But because I stayed clean, I have worked with the Wu-Tang Clan so many fucking times since. Whereas if I had smoked, if I had gone back to all the stuff I was doing, that would have been it. That would have been it. Like, my career would be over because I can't function when I'm using, So I sort of think of it as like, I do have to say no occasionally to certain situations that for a normal person who doesn't have addiction issues would be a lot of fun and a fun experience and a fun story. But because of that, I get to live this massive, beautiful life, that is predicated on music.
Yeah, and plus Old Dirty Bastard would be the wrong person you're trying to be sober around. You talk about an enabler.
Oh, man. Rest in peace.
I'm also kind of surprised at, situations where, a gig, like doing, playing a few shows with a band and, like being offered some beer or being offered a drink or something. And then and I'll go, oh, no, thanks. But they don't understand that you don't, and that there's like, no offense to people that don't know, but like, I thought everybody knew about substance abuse, but they don't, and that is like, cause I grew up in this world. And so, it's kind of, like, people say, well, then why didn't you just stop? That.
Just say no. This actually gets to a question that I wanted to pose to both of you. And it's this. How do you feel that perceptions of addictions have changed throughout both of your long careers now? You've both been in the game now for decades. Mm-hmm. I'm certainly noticing some positive shifts, and occasionally, honestly, I feel like that, Patty, where I'm like, what do you mean? Why can't I just stop? Mind you, on the other hand, there's, Instagram has somehow figured out my algorithm, and they're always putting these groups in front of me that are doing really cool stuff in sobriety and music spaces. And I think, okay, here's these kids bringing Narcan to festivals. That would have never happened. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I wonder for you guys how that looks across these decades.
With me, I don't know if you guys know, but I joined Cypress Hill. I was with Cypress Hill for like a year. Man. Yeah. Probably the most defining moment, like me upholding the law of my sobriety, was that I never took one hit and never smoked weed with none of them during that whole time. Wow. And everyone wants to smoke with Be Real, right?
Oh, of course.
Well, you could get high just being in the dressing room next to theirs because we did Lollapalooza with them, and it was like, I think I'm smoking pot. I'm not, but I think I am.
So let me ask you guys: Did that destroy my sobriety through contact?
Hey, it's intent to me, right? You know what I mean? Yeah, it's like you're not trying to get high; you're intentionally keeping on your beam, man.
They granted me my own dressing room. It was the Mixmaster Mike Cypress Hill non-smoking room at every show to honor me, which was awesome, and I'll never forget that. And much love to Be Real and San for doing that for me. That was so awesome.
We're talking about, Mike, you're talking about how in so much music, drugs are shouted out, drug culture, drug abuse is shouted out, right? And there have been some really notable, beautiful artists and humans who have died from it. You know, I think about Juice World. I think about, like, you know, further back, DJ Screw. But and those are just two of many, many, many. China, you know, just so many. But I wonder, in the way that as kids, as teenagers, we look up to those people who sometimes are taken down by it. Did you guys have anybody that you looked up to when you knew you needed to get sober and you thought, I know that person has done it and I want what they have? Was there anybody in music like that for you?
I think for me, it was the Chili Peppers.
Me too. Me too. Same. Yes.
Right?
Yes.
You talk about resilience, right? Resilience at the highest level. It's like, wow, these guys, I mean, man, and look at them now. I mean, they're flourishing. They just dropped the double album. I mean, it's brilliant. It's like, wow, they've never lost their brilliance.
I love that. So course, you saw them. Oh, yeah. Please.
And then there's the Rolling Stones, right? I mean, how old are they? How old are they now? Like, it's like, wow. But it's you know, it's the Chili Peppers for me. That whole story is incredible.
Going through it and then getting clean.
Oh man, it's so inspiring.
Same.
And that goes for both of us, not bad. Like,
yeah, totally. Yeah.
That's hands down. I mean, that's it right there. Yeah, Peppers.
I know that's something that we hope to kind of create with Sober 21 was the, if you see it, you can be it reality. You know, like, yes, there are people getting sober and staying sober, and they're not letting their addiction define and ruin their whole life, right? And I mean, you two are people that younger people right now might be looking at and thinking, damn, they did it. They went through the hell and they came out of it and they stayed sober. And that's a powerful thing. I know we only have a few more minutes together, and one thing I wanted to ask, you know, all three of you guys, because Brendan, you have so much experience with this too, man, is what advice would each of you share with folks who are either just getting sober or maybe thinking about getting sober but scared to take that plunge, scared that their careers are finished? What would you say to them?
Patty?
Yeah, I guess I'll say that as far as your career goes, it can only begin, you know, when you get clean. And, you know, you think, like, I thought I knew myself as an artist and a player. And then I got clean and sober, and it was like a blank slate. And, you know, and you start over and you get that gift, you know, and that fear around, you know, making a decision is about just saying, you know, you're powerless, and sort of, it's a relief, you know, and it's a surrender. And it's, you know, it's time to, you're done. You're like, if you're afraid, you know, just remember you're done fighting that fight. You don't have to, you know, and that's what I would say, you know, and there are people that can help.
Yeah. For me, it's number one, it's cut off all enablers.
Yeah.
Just cut off all enablers. Get into what you love. I mean, just whatever you love, whether it's art or whatever, music or whatever. I mean, just put all your energy and your effort into that, into what you love and what you believe in. And that's it.
Brendan, what would you share, man?
Yeah, man. You know, like you, Elia, I got sober pretty young. I got sober at 21. I was in music conservatory at SUNY Purchase, and you know, I thought, all right, this is the end of my career. That hasn't even started. You know, there are not going to be opportunities for someone like me who's just, you know, bottomed out alcoholic or addict who's struggling with substance use disorder. And you know, I was like desperately seeking for someone to validate this experience. Like, look, it's possible to get sober and then make something of yourself. And I just kept trudging along. and as long as I continue to show up for life as a sober person and really look for like the positive signs from the universe, right? Those opportunities that validate the things that I hold near and dear to my heart and my passions in life. You know, that's never steered me wrong. And, surrounding myself, like Mike was talking about, the enablers, the people who didn't value me the way that I suddenly now valued myself.
Yeah.
Having that self-worth, that self-respect, and recognizing myself as someone who's capable of deserving love and success and whatever that may be. And from there, I feel like I've been able to build an amazing life where I get to do music and I also get to be of service to others. I get to help alcoholics and addicts. And one of the biggest things is, if you're curious, you're wondering, if you're listening to this, pick up the phone, give us a call here at MusiCares. I will talk to anybody and help guide you, even if it's just like, hey, what's going on, man? Let's hear about what's happening today, and figure out, if there's a way to guide you in the direction of some support. Everyone needs support, regardless of whether or not you have substance use disorder.
Absolutely.
And then also, just a quick plug, it's free for everyone, but like, check out a 12-step meeting, AA, NA, type in whatever city or town you're in, like AA intergroup, and you can find a meeting, check it out, and just like listen to some people who might have some wisdom to drop on you. Elia, I know you got so much wisdom to share yourself. Would you mind taking a stab at this one too?
Oh, whoa. Well, sure, man. Yeah, thanks. I mean, for me, I just hope that anyone who's been kicking it with us for these, this half hour, this 45 minutes that you've been watching and that we've been chatting, I just hope the takeaways are that you can live from a life that's this big. You can have a life that is just limitless and is boundless. And that is not just posi-core bullshit, but that's reality. That is the lived experience of all four of us, and so many hundreds of thousands and millions more people who have found recovery from addiction and who don't live with active addiction anymore, who are free, And, when I'm talking to people who are thinking about getting sober, maybe you just talked about 12-step meetings, Brendan. Sometimes they've maybe gone to one or two meetings and they think, oh God, I can't, I don't know what life's going to look like. I don't know what to do. I say, look, you can do every single thing that you did when you were using and so much more sober. You want to travel the world. You want to explore your sexuality, explore your sexuality. You want to explore new creative avenues, explore new creative avenues. You can do anything that you could have done that you thought maybe you could have only done with drugs, sober. And again, that's the lived experience I'm talking about. This is not like a hypothetical situation. And so, I just really put it out there. Give yourself the chance. Give yourself the shot. Call MusiCares. Feel free to DM me at Elia Einhorn on any platform. I'm more than happy to chop it up one-on-one with anybody watching that needs to talk sobriety. And feel free. Sober 21, that's a free resource. It's free on the web through the Creative Independent. You can read 21 artist stories, including Patty's, including Mixmaster Mike's, including mine. And, arm yourself, equip yourself with information. And Patty, you said something really powerful, which is surrender. If you can surrender, if you can give up the idea that you have the control over the addiction, paradoxically, you can be free of that addiction. So I'll get off my soapbox right now, and I'll just say, Mixmaster Mike, Patty Schemel, thank you so much for joining us. And Brendan, thank you so much. And to everyone on your squad at MusiCares for allowing us this platform, man. It's beautiful. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys.
Thank you all so much. Really appreciate it.